Okay, this video is about just a basic understanding of how an e-bell is meant to be used. So it's got some obvious parameters. The most obvious one I think that everybody sees right away is that you're seeing where the plane is. So that's one aspect, and it becomes very natural to now just create a nice regular plane, which you wouldn't necessarily do with a golf club. You might have a lot of other motions in a golf swing, but this kind of tells you that. And the secondary aspect that you're seeing that is maybe less obvious is that this rotational aspect is actually club face. So if you're swinging in a nice arc like this, you're keeping your club face. The orientation that you're creating with your arms and body is to keep the club face always square to path, which is sort of unique to golf as a swinging sport. When you think about it, when you swing a baseball bat, you can rotate all you want. It's round, right? With the golf club, you need to find a perfect squareness. So the easiest way to do that is to create an area of relative squareness rather than a moment of squareness. So this helps you figure out how to do that. But how do you actually, what is the real fundamental purpose? And the fundamental purpose has a lot more to do with how you use your whole body in a swing and how you learn to do something through feel rather than through a series of motions. So there's a lot of golf training that you need to do this and you need to do this, the sit move, and it's sort of breaking the swing down into a whole bunch of moves, and then you learn those moves and it works, it's good. But this is a simpler way to do it, I think. So basically, if you pick up something that's heavy like this, you're naturally doing pretty much all those things if you allow your body to respond naturally to this object. So that's the clue. You have to become not imposing your idea of a golf swing on this when you pick that up. If you have a golf swing that has a lot of extra physical force and you try to make this conform to your golf swing, that's not going to work. So you want to do the opposite. So pick it up, be relaxed, and just naturally swing it back and forth as its own thing. Don't think about making a golf swing, and just notice what your body is doing. And there's several key points to this. So the one thing you're going to do, likely if you don't do this already, is you're going to do quite a bit more leading with your lower body. And it's just because your body knows it has to move more mass. So of course you've probably seen people teaching this move. You do this and go, right? But you don't need to learn the move externally, like I should move like this. All you need to do is clue into this idea. If I'm going to throw this, that's the move. That's it. It's that simple. It's just the natural throwing motion that somebody does when you have something that's heavy and you want to move something a long way, right? You wouldn't throw like this with your upper body, but people do that with a club because a club doesn't weigh very much. So this is what you want to do. Get yourself relatively relaxed in your arms and just swing this the way you want to naturally, and then just start to put some more energy on it. But the most motion for the least amount of energy, if that makes sense. So don't engage a bunch of upper body. Don't try to control it and steer it and force it into a shape. Let it find its own shape just because it's a swinging object. The swinging object is not going to want to go off plane, right? Especially when you've got a lot of inertia this way. So it's going to want to be on plane. And in some ways, really, so does your club if you let it be. It's just so much lighter that it's hard to feel that. So the parts you really want to feel here are, how do I heave this up? And then how do I let it fall? In this case, you sort of have to. It's too heavy to turn around. So you heave it up, let it fall, and throw it. Just those three things. And then get your club, and more than doing it initially, so more than trying to replicate that notice how it might be different. So if I now get my club and I'm doing a completely different kind of motion, pay attention to that. Don't try to necessarily fix that at first, but then go back to the trainer and then think, okay, now how would I make those things the same? Well, first thing you got to do is tune into a much lighter weight but still be responsive to it. So it's too easy to take the club and move it this way. So you got to imagine it almost as being heavier, but then feel the weight of it. So really tune your hands into feeling the weight, right? Don't make your hands active in terms of managing and forcing the weight to go in a certain direction. Just tune your hands into it. And then once you do that, now your sequencing is very similar. So just, you can go back and forth and feel like, what does that transition feel like? Okay, can I transition in a similar way? And what you're gonna feel is like, oh, I do a lot more of this with the heavy thing. I wait for it. I kind of sit down and then I throw it. So now the same task, heave it up, wait for it, and throw it. That's all there is to it. So it's pretty, once you start tuning yourself in to this and let your body be responsive and run the show instead of conscious ideas, golf becomes a lot more easy.